A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
You might recall how uncomfortable you felt when you first realised that children in schools were the targets of indoctrination. Well, you might remember back in 2018, former Victorian Premier Dan Andrews forced all Victorian secondary schools to sign up to the Safe Schools program, whilst rolling out a more subtle program called the Respectful Relationships program into all public schools. And it was said that this was to tackle domestic violence and foster respectful behaviour. But in effect, it introduced gender indoctrination to all Victorian public primary and secondary schools as part of a mandatory school curriculum. And now even faith-based schools in Victoria are being pressured into delivering respectful relationships and consent education. And it's for this reason that the Australian Christian Lobby has launched what they're calling Operation Change Community Education Campaign to expose indoctrination at schools. Jasmine Yuen is the ACL State Director for Victoria, and Jasmine's joining us. Hey, Jasmine, welcome along.
Thank you, Neil. Good to talk to you again.
Jasmine, the effects of that Safe Schools type program, it sounds to me like they've never really gone away.
No, definitely it hasn't. In fact, it has changed to another form and go into not only secondary school, but both primary and secondary school. So you said it correctly. So previously, Dan Andrew only make Safe School program mandatory in secondary school. Now this program has all the opportunity to indoctrinate both primary and secondary school children.
So when that whole controversy around safe schools came to light, it was all about gender fluidity and encouraging gender transitioning. Are these more subtle programs doing the same thing?
Definitely it is. I think this respectful relationship program is more dangerous because it actually said that it's actually tackling domestic violence and teaching our children to be more respectful. But in fact, they are teaching more than respectful relationship. So there are other topics in the program that teach stress management and things like that. But when you go to topic 7 and 8 of all year level, it is all about gender issue and gender-based violence. Now, the dangerous part is that when the children are younger, so in the learning material for younger children, they actually talk about gender stereotypes. So what they are teaching and training students, primary school students, to challenge these gender stereotypes, teaching them that, the role of male and female are social construct. They can change over time. So what it means that they are teaching students that boys can cook, boys can wear pink. Well, pretty much these are more basic things. But in a way, they are trying to blur the line between male and female and slowly pave the way to the exploration of gender diversity when they come to the higher grade. Now, higher grade means that it goes to grade 5, so students of about 10 years old. But this is the current program. What is concerning is that we heard that they are going to roll out a new version of the Respectful Relationship program next year. And I've seen some of the material. They are actually bringing in preferred pronouns to children as young as grade 1 or 2 or even in the prep level.
It's like there's an incremental slide, and in some sense here, and I'll get your thoughts, because we've become accustomed to appreciating that these sorts of programs under a government like the Andrews government, now the Allen government, are going to be rolled out into state schools. But as I understand it, even faith-based schools are now being pressured to deliver these sorts of programs. Is that the case?
That is what I heard, and some of the Christian school who really, want to teach children about good education based on the biblical ground, they have their own version but it is safer in order to tick the box. But some Christian school, I know they bring in some other organization to teach this sort of education. Now, there is one announcement coming from the federal government. I'm not quite sure whether you or your audience realize that. So the federal government is actually rolling out a comprehensive consent and respectful relationship throughout the nation. And they are actually giving or funding 77.6 million to all schools across the nation. So this respectful relationship and consent program is not only in Victoria now, it is soon going to the whole Australia, whether perhaps is in public school or in independent school.
And of course, it all sounds good on the surface. This is the challenge, isn't it? That when you've got a program and it's all about reducing domestic violence and promoting equality, those sorts of things, that there's a tendency not to dig a little deeper and recognise there's a darker side to that agenda.
Yes, is definitely is actually more than respectful and consent relationship. I actually attend a conference earlier this year in Sydney. Is all about respectful relationship program conference. They are actually looking into more. Now in Victoria, apart from the respectful relationship, we actually have sexuality education. That is very explicit, pornographic kind of teaching. They are teaching students in year 7 sexual pleasure. Now in this conference, what I learned is that what they intend to do in what they call the comprehensive respectful relationship and consent education is actually at one point they are going to bring in sex education, and they have said it very clearly is sex education that includes sexual pleasure. So in this whole program, we see that it's not only gender ideology indoctrination, but also sex education that we don't want our children to expose to prematurely.
And of course, as Christians, appreciating that God creates man and woman in his image, male and female, he created them, and out of those issues has grown a traditional way in which families develop and parents have the opportunity to be able to pass on their values to their children. What does it mean, do you think, Jasmine, when the state takes over, passing on those values or their very different set of values and bypassing parents? What does that mean for the Christian, do you think?
It's very dangerous. Now, the Bible teaches not only that God makes us male and female, it's only two sexes. The Bible also, sets a very solid moral ground on sexual relationship. Sexual relationship can only happen between one man and woman in a marriage relationship. But what this program is open up is truly in contradictory to biblical teaching and sexual ethics. So if parents want to really keep their kids pure until a certain age, then they only learn about all this to prepare for their adulthood and marriage in the future. We are going to, unfortunately, losing that kind of parental rights and freedom. And it's actually also open up our children to things that they shouldn't learn in that early age and young age. It is going to distract the mindset. And therefore, nowadays, when you look at children, why are they having so much mental issue? Why are they doing so poorly in their academic performance? It's all about all these things that is inappropriate going to their mind, distract them, and that comes to this point.
And Jasmine, you say that the federal government's got a huge amount of funding to roll these sorts of programs out all over Australia. You're specifically based in Victoria, and you've got your Operation Change community education campaign to expose indoctrination at schools. This is where I imagine you're looking for listeners to our conversation today who are saying, well, I'd like to stand up and do something in my community. What are you calling on people to do?
Yes, so we have very good flyer designed in order to raise awareness. So the one that is coming up, we are going to letterbox in Werribee and in Bayswater. So they are in Melbourne, East and West. And it's important to put this flyer into letterboxes is because there are a lot of parents, they're concerned about all this, but a lot of them are not aware of what is being taught. So if your listeners are interested to help, please do, because we need a lot of people going on the street to put this information into letterboxes.
So you specifically mention Bayswater, and no doubt there'll be other communities too that you'll have in your sights. The thought that you need people, and a little bit like, the standing army, the small army of volunteers who want to make a difference in their community. You want people out on the streets and popping some flyers into letterboxes or handing them to people on a street corner. Is that the way it works?
Yes, definitely. So Bayswater and Werribee are just only 1-2 suburbs that we are going to in August. But actually, we have volunteers and volunteers leaders across Victoria. We're starting to have people in the regional area as well. So wherever you are, if you are in Victoria and you want to help, you can go on our website and check it out. But at the same time, you can also email me directly or email our national office. Then we will refer you to the right volunteer leader and get you started.
And really, especially for Victorian listeners to participate in this one today, to connect with the Australian Christian Lobby. And here's an opportunity to do something with a practical action to it that may well be a benefit in your whole community. Now, to connect with Jasmine and the program that we're talking about today, you can go to the ACL website. That's the Australian Christian Lobby website, acl.org.au. And as I understand it, it's look for the event button and then find the Vic Days of Action to participate in Operation Change, community education campaign exposing indoctrination in schools. Likelihood is your neighbours don't even know what's going on. Jasmine Yuen is the ACL State Director for Victoria. Jasmine, thanks so much for bringing us up to date on what's happening by way of your campaigns in your home state of Victoria.
Thank you, Neil.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.